This video is going to help you if you are at the beginning of your healing process or in the middle of your healing process and you want a few tips on the absolutely most important thing involved in healing, and that is honesty and telling the truth. I'm going to be talking a little bit about my experience with lying, holding on to secrets, and the guilt that kind of racked and ate at me for so long because of that, and the enormous catharsis I have experienced from just being able to get honest. Hi, my name is Adam. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I help people transform their fear, their traumas, and their confusion into love, freedom, and clarity so they can do whatever they want with their lives. Now, I've talked about this a little bit before, but it will come up a lot. I was a drug addict for many years. I started when I was about 15 smoking pot. When I was 17, I started shooting heroin and shooting cocaine and smoking crack. Okay. When I did that, I essentially became a liar, right? Because you have to. You can't just be like, okay, bye, Mom, I'm going to shoot heroin. You can't be like, excuse me, Mrs. Stevenson, I need to duck out and go to the bathroom for about 15 minutes because I got to shoot up and then I got to run because the dealer is 3 streets down, and you lie. Now, when I was a kid, I had a tendency actually to tell the truth. I was generally a very honest kid. There were a few times where I did lie because I was getting into a lot of trouble for things I didn't understand, and I didn't want to get into more trouble, so I would start to lie to try to keep, myself out of it. But my tendency was to be honest. But like I said, when I got into drugs, I developed these habits of just lying all the time. And when you do drugs for a year or two, you develop some bad habits. It's a little easier to break them. I was doing them for like 10 years. So these things became very entrenched and very ingrained. And I would lie for no reason. There wasn't even a motive. Someone would be like, hey, where'd you eat lunch? And I'd be like, Burger King when I ate at McDonald's. There was no reason to tell that lie. It served me in no way. I just couldn't help it. I just couldn't help it. Anyway, when I went into rehab, it was a very, very structured, rigid, intense rehab, right? They prided themselves on a very high level of integrity. People didn't bring drugs into the house. A lot of rehabs are kind of willy-nilly, and it's very easy to sneak drugs in. Everybody's getting high. Like, that was not this place. But when I first went in there, I didn't want to be there. I was kind of forced in there, fortunately, but I didn't want to be there. I hated it. I just wanted to go use. And I managed to find a way to sneak drugs in. And I got high. And then I just kind of went on. And there were a couple more times where I tried to leave, or I was trying to sneak out to get high or go on pass, and I kept getting caught. I kept getting caught and grouped. And I realized that I just wasn't going to be able to do that anymore. So I surrendered. I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna go along with the program for a while. And I did that with a reservation. What a reservation is like, okay, I won't get high for now, but one day I'm sure I'll get high again, but for now I won't. After about 2 months of that, though, the reservation just dissolved. Something shifted in me, and I began to get in touch with the part of me that actually wanted to get better and felt like it was possible. The thing, though, is I had all these lies and secrets and things that I was holding on to that I'd never told anybody, right? And the house was very, they broke you of lying. They didn't let you get away with lies. They would sit in a group for 6 hours breaking down everything you said and did until finally the truth came out and you got honest. But I had things they didn't know because I was pretty good. I was a very good intuitive liar. I used my ability to kind of feel how people would respond, and like an internal understanding of psychology to be able to look exactly as you would look if you were telling the truth. And they weren't sure, but they didn't know. I would go to bed at night haunted by my secrets. I felt so fucking guilty I couldn't sleep, and I would just stuff it down. I would just stuff it down and put myself somewhere else and go on. And the story I told myself is, I'm going to be honest from this point on because I want to be honest, but I can't tell them about everything I did because I'm going to get in so much trouble. And a lot of times that's where lying comes from. It's like we would get in trouble as kids, so we begin to lie to avoid the consequences. Eventually, I couldn't. I was like, and that was the thing with this house, is like they required everybody to be honest about their past. So I knew what I was doing. Just being honest from this point forward wasn't really it. And eventually I did. I wrote what they call a cop list, which is, copping to things that you did. And I put everything on there. And I got in a shit ton of trouble. The consequences were huge. And I felt like this piece of shit, like pariah of the house for like a number of weeks. But what happened was there was such a relief, an enormous cathartic relief from just getting all this stuff off my chest, that I began to heal. That was really when my healing process began, was when I wrote all of that stuff out and told the truth. And I still struggled for a bit because it takes a while to break these habits. But what I would start to do is just, if I was asked like, hey, why did you do something, or why did you go there? And I didn't really know because I didn't know myself yet, but I would just do stream of consciousness. Like I'd just be like, well, I was feeling kind of tired, and I was like maybe being sort of lazy, and like I just didn't want to go to the meeting, so I decided to go here instead, and I was hoping to get validation and approval from people. I would just start dumping everything that was in me out. And what I found was that is the essence of healing. There are a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of things you can not have to do, because healing is complicated. It's intricate. Some modalities work, some won't for you. Some things you can go one way, you can go another way. But the most important thing is being honest. You cannot heal if you can't be honest, at least with yourself. You don't want to be honest with everyone in the world, because there's a lot of liars and people who will take advantage of you. That's why you want to be discerning. But you have to be honest with yourself. So if you're struggling, find someone, anyone that you feel you can talk to, and just start getting it out. Start writing it down. I'm afraid to take this step because of this. Or, if you really can't do something, admit that you can't do it. It's just admitting, because what happens when you start to admit things and get honest is you're calling the darkness into the light. You're bringing yourself into the present moment, which is where everything heals. It heals in the now. You heal by bringing the shadow into the healing vortex. You heal by bringing the darkness into the light a little bit at a time. And the most important tool for that is telling the truth. Truth is relative. Everybody, has a different truth, and the truth comes in layers. And what's true for you on one level, there's a different truth 3 layers down, but you can't get 3 layers down unless you acknowledge the layer that you're at. And you'll feel it. You'll start to feel it, because you'll feel a release. You'll feel a shift in your emotions. And if you're present enough, you'll actually feel your body begin to even tingle sometimes as you hit like that vortex of what truly is. And it takes some courage. Like when I got honest in the house, the consequences were vast, but it was so worth it, because I felt such a freaking release and relief that it really wasn't that big of a deal in the long run. And the consequences were things I needed anyway, like learning how to do chores and shit like that. It really wasn't, it was hard for me at the time. But anyway, let me know what you think. Please comment below. Let me know if you have any revelations or breakthroughs in regards to this. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me a lot. And thank you so much. Until next time.